its attributes and developed special denominations of Baalism. And we read the Bible and we just skim over it because we haven't really taken time to research it. For instance, Baal of Peor. Yes. And that's the place that we talked about in the Bible. Right, yeah. Baal of Peor. Amen. It becomes a place. Yes. Baal buried, a name of a place. Yes. Amen. And these are just two examples of such localized deities. Amen. But it's Baal. In Matthew 12:27, skip ahead and look at it a little bit. Jesus calls Satan Beelzebub, which links the devil to Baal-zebub. Amen. In a Philistine city. Amen. The Baalim of the Old Testament were nothing more than demons masquerading as gods, and all idolatry is ultimately devil worship.
Yes, sir.
It's devil worship.
Yes,
amen. Amen. It's devil worship. Even though we take it to be so hip and so this and so whatever, it's devil worship.
That's right. Amen.
There's nothing else you can say about it. Now, believe it or not, Baal, even though we're talking about him, putting so much emphasis on him, he was not the only false god at the time or in the area. Yeah. When you go back and you read some of your Old Testament, you'll come across a god named Molech. And the Israelites even began to sacrifice their children to Molech. And God told them, do not burn your children for Molech. Amen. Belial, Ashtoreth, the Ashtoreth and Ashtoreth. There was Chemosh and others. False gods, every last one of them. Today, since we don't hear the name Baal too much, if at all, but that doesn't mean that other false gods don't exist. They're here right now. And aren't just as prominent as Baal or the Baalim. Because a false god is anything that you worship. Anything that you worship. So let's not just try to put it on an old statue or because you ain't bowed down to some image. It's anything that you worship. Anything that has priority in and over your life is your false god. Anything. And I should say anybody. Now we are probably conscious of some of the false gods, the prominent ones like money. Boy, that's a real one. The false god of money. I have said in my life, and I've been known to hear other people say, you ain't got no problem that money can't solve. What do we think money is? That you don't have a problem that money can't solve. My wife used to work for a developer in this city who had amassed quite a little bit of money. Anyway, I guess amongst our people, we would say he was inward rich, if you know what that means. And he had came to her one day and just had one of those moments or something. He said, you know, Miss Williams, I have really got some money. He said, but don't you know that I have a health problem and all the money I got, I can't get no cure. And it ultimately took him away from me. Out of all my money, he's not nothing to tells you about God. Amen. What about the false god of sex? What about the false god of sex?
Yes.
That's a false god that many of us don't even want to talk about.
Amen.
Amen. I mean, lust and sex, boy, is just taking over so many of our lives, male and female, and we don't even understand why.
Amen.
We don't understand why.
Yes.
Alcohol and drugs. False gods. False gods. If I'm feeling low and can't get no lower, give me some drugs or alcohol. If I'm feeling wonderful and want to feel better, give me some drugs or alcohol.
Come on, that's all right.
If it's just mundane and chilling, give me some drugs or alcohol.
You don't know.
Good for whatever ail you.
You don't know.
Drugs and alcohol, I can tell you from personal experience, is the only two things I know that will make you smile while it's killing you. That will make you smile while it's killing you.
No.
Amen. And then there's the false god of power. False god of power. There are those of us who get some authority, get some position, and that becomes our God. I'm Mr. So-and-so. I have noticed at one point in time in the church, in the so-called black church, Jesus didn't start a black church, but I'll just say in the black church, I would notice that the chairman of the deacon board normally had a very terrible job where he worked. Where he worked, he probably was the lowest man on the totem pole. And normally he had a whole big ring of keys on his side. But when he got to church, when he could lord it over God's people, he became something else, boy. He'd stand in front of the pastor and tell the pastor, we don't do things like that.
All right.
Amen. Power becomes a god. Power. Men lord power over their wives. Power. Amen. And all those things can become false gods. And we're talking about, can he count on you? Amen. And there may be those of us who say, well, I don't praise money and sex and alcohol. It don't bother me and blah, blah, blah. And we often don't pay a great deal of attention to a young and up and coming false god of science and technology.
Yes.
That's a false god of science and technology. Amen.
Yes.
I refer to him as Baal Satek. That's just my little word. Baal Satek. If you don't believe there's a false god of science and technology, sit on that corner down there and watch people cross that street. All over the place. Don't text and drive. Don't talk and drive. You can't even ride a half a block to find a parking space because whoever calling you or texting you on a device that you own, that you can control, that you can pick up whenever you want. You're so drawn to it, you got to do it right now, putting people's life in danger. On your own.
Yeah.
What's going on with that? Why do we have to be so connected 24/7? 24/7. When I was going to school, I think I was in the 12th grade before I realized there was a telephone in the school. Well, I ain't gonna tell you that was before that because I stayed in the principal's office a lot. I always stayed in so I saw the phones over there because they could call my parents over there. But the point of it was I ain't have access to none of them. Nobody I know had no access. There wasn't no cell phones. You know, every once in a while you might hear somebody come to the classroom and say, Miss So-and-so report to the office. And she had a phone, emergency phone calls or whatever. Phones and connectedness did not exist like it is now. When we left home, we was disconnected. Phone booths were on the corner. You had a dime, you could make a call. Amen. To my brother taught us how you take a safety pin and you stick it through the wire. And there was a little silver chrome rim around the money deposit box. You stick that safety pin through the wire, amen? Then you go beep, 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 then you get a bong. You know, little crooks and kids always gonna come up with something.